Good evening, everybody. This is Ginger Cook from Houston, Texas. These are our Monday night specials where we do a live topic on. Generally, it's to answer questions that people have been writing in during the week, and sometimes we have tonight. We're going to answer the question: how do you discover a good photograph for a landscape? What do I want to look for in a photograph to create a landscape? That's what we're going to talk about today. You know, landscapes are very popular. Everybody, admires a good landscape. Who doesn't admire a good landscape? So how do you come up with a good photograph for a landscape? For instance, on Ginger Cook live.gallery, you'll see me do landscapes oftentimes. And sometimes we have them up on YouTube. Sometimes we have them just in our, I'm going to just zoom in here. Here's a little waterfall landscape that's coming up for our Wave and Water Masterclass in the 1st of September. So in other words, when you're looking at a photograph though, that's what we're talking about. When you're looking at a photograph, how do you decide what makes a good landscape? So I'm going to talk to you about not what not to do, but what to do, okay? We're going to reverse this a little bit. So one of the things you want to do is you're going to tell a story. This tells a story of a waterfall, okay? But if I want to tell a story of something, all right, I want to tell a story. For instance, I'm looking at a picture. The photographer's told the story too. Here's a photograph of some people, and let me just zoom back out here, and they're fishing. That tells a story, okay? So you're saying that tells a story. But now as an artist, you've got to do what I like to call the Reader's Digest edit of this photograph, okay? So what about this photograph might work in a landscape? Well, I love the idea of people from behind because it could be anybody's friends fishing, and who doesn't like that? But there's a lot going on in this picture, and it's almost in 3 parts. If you can see what I'm talking about here, it's almost in 3 parts. You've got this mountain up here and this guy, this is almost a painting all by itself right there. See? That's a painting. There's a landscape right there. Okay? And then you've got this with the people with some reflections. So then what if you cropped it like this? So oftentimes when you're looking for a photograph, okay, and then you'd probably want to do it here too, because I don't know if I'd want that bench over here. But what I want to suggest to you is that generally you're probably not going to find the perfect photograph. So then so you're not going to find the perfect photograph. So then what do you need to do? How can you, save some photos, keep them as reference, and because basically now we're talking about some advanced stuff. We're talking about composing paintings. So I'm just going to run through a series of photographs tonight and show you what might be interesting. Now take this photograph. I like this. It's got 3 boats and some rocks, and it's got a nice little trail of water. Okay. Now, could you combine something from these 2 photographs? For instance, maybe less boats, but maybe put this waterway with these people. I mean, that's something to think about. Could you do that? You'd have to change the time of day because this is obviously bright daylight and this is not. You got to think about that. But you could do that. You could maybe combine those 2. So that would be a consideration. Now, what about, I love things with color, and autumn's coming. So this is I thought this was a really pretty photograph. You've got some really beautiful blue turquoise water, and you've got some orange fall leaves. Now, why does that work as a photograph? Let's see. Where's my zombie here? Let me put some Mark here down here. Hold this corner down. Have you guys seen Mark here? He's my little zombie. I'll zoom out just a little bit here. Okay, so he's going to hold the corner down for us. Okay, so this is pretty. You've got this beautiful turquoise water and this orange bush. Turquoise and orange are complements. That means they're opposite each other on the color wheel, and so therefore your eye sort of sings when it looks at that. Now what you might want to do with this photograph is, instead of having these odd little buildings back here, this is in some country, I forgot where it was, it's not the United States, but it doesn't matter, it's still very pretty, and you might want to take say something like this and change these little buildings a little bit more like that. Maybe make some orange buildings. Come up here like this and just be your own architect. Change the perspective a little bit and suggest some buildings like that. Do you see what that did? And then maybe back over here, we're going to have some little house over here like this. Could be a red house, kind of a red barn, kind of sneaking in there. Now that sort of made an interesting picture. And I like these rocks up here. That's kind of nice. It's sort of quiet. You could there's a lot you could do with a photograph like this, but sometimes you need to make some adjustments. But I thought this was very pretty and simple and something you could do. Now, every once in a while, you're going to run into a photograph like this. And let me zoom this out. And, you know, what happens is people go on vacation, they take all kinds of pictures, and sometimes they just want a picture for a reference. So here's our photograph. Let's move this one out of the way now. Here's our photograph, and you've got, it's obviously Switzerland, got this big mountain here. You've got some flags, which are kind of cool, and a little tree here, and this house. And this may be a great remembrance of your vacation, but this honestly probably wouldn't work as a painting. So basically, when you're looking at that, you know, somebody's on vacation, they hand you a picture. What do you think about that? And you say thank you, and you move on to the next picture. Okay, see what else they've got. Okay, but that probably wouldn't work. There's this big block here. There's this and that. So those are things to think about. Now, what I love is a good woodland scene. I thought this was really pretty, like this. Let me just zoom in on that. I thought this was a very pretty photograph. It's very murky. It's somewhere in England. And what makes this work, to me, what makes this work, let's see, where did I put my pencil with? Boy, I lost my zombie pencil. I had it too here. This, oh, here. So, Mark should be holding this. Okay, so you've got this path here. Do you see that? Now, you might want to lighten this up a bit because this is all almost the same color, okay? But I think this is very pretty. But what would make this interesting is if you had somebody walking back here, you know, maybe a couple walking like this, you know, just had somebody back here walking arm in arm in the picture. That might make that more interesting if you had, maybe they had a dog, okay, you know, that's doing something. But you really probably need something else here besides this. But this is a good background photo, and it's, you know, I thought that was sort of nice. But you know, so could we improve on this? Yeah, we could improve on this. Here's one I found that I really liked, and I don't think you'd have to do much. It's always nice when you don't have to do much of anything, right? So here it is. We've got a stream that's coming back in an S pattern. An S pattern is very important. See this S pattern? That makes a really good photograph, an S pattern, all right? And you've got these trees that are reflecting in the water. You've got some leaves coming across, and you've got some nice, pretty bright green leaves here. I would probably want to add another tree here, okay? And I'm just going to show you. I'd probably put another tree up here like this. Just up in here like this. I'd probably add another tree. I mean, trees aren't that tricky. You could add a couple, maybe even another one here. See, to kind of balance out this one. And you see how this one makes a Y? Now here's what a lot of artists might do. Well, it was in the picture like that. This might be another tree that's fallen down. I don't get this tree, but you're going to get rid of this one. You're going to get rid of this cross piece tree here that's doing that, okay? Now already the picture looks better, doesn't it? Then you've got this little tree here. And then right here, you've got this very, very bright green grass, which fights with this. So you might want to sit there and tone this down a bit. Maybe make it a little longer, bring it in here like this, bring it more forward, come up here like that, come over here like this. And again, here's a little post. That's kind of pretty. Maybe we'll have a little post here like that, some sort of little fence post. That's kind of interesting. But again, we've got this S pattern, and then we've got a triangle going like that. So that, a photograph like this could be very pretty as a landscape. All right, but something to consider when you're talking about this is shadows. Now here was a pretty photograph, and light source is everything. See how you've got this beautiful light coming in here, right here. Do you see that? And then you've got these shadows going across, and these nice trees. I don't have to add any trees over here. They've already got some. I've got some pretty nice looking trees here. And you know, you might just move a branch or two. Like this branch here is a little awkward, but you know, you could lose this branch right there like that. Just have that be another tree back there. See? Just kind of lose that branch, and see, that's already better. Okay? Now here, I would still be tempted to put some people. You know what I mean? I would still be tempted to put somebody in this picture. All right? I'm just saying. I just somebody walking in this picture might be interesting. A couple of people walking, some kids, I don't know. Just already, you see what I'm saying? And then they might have a shadow here too, like that. have a shadow with the people. I would be tempted to put some people in here too. Maybe not right there. This is what I love about chalk. Maybe I'd move them over here a little bit so they're not quite dead. You don't want anything dead center. So I'd probably move them over here a little bit, say a couple people right there, like that, something like that. Have some people like that. And just the behind, the people from behind, or, you know, maybe a dog or something like that, but something to make it a little more interesting. Now, this picture I thought was really cool. And this was a, again, look at the light on the trees. Now this is something that a lot of photographers don't get. And this is excellent. See these beautiful highlights on the trees. And because there's leaves, they don't go all the way down. They stop. So a little bit here and it stops. And then we've got these great shadows. And then we've got this beautiful mountain field of flowers, some sort of purple flowers. The path goes off into a distance. Anytime you can throw a path in here, this path is dead center. So it might be nicer if the path came around this way. Let's take some dark brown chalk and I'll show you. Let's just take some different color chalk. It might be nicer because you don't, this is right dead center in the middle of the picture. I either want to crop the picture, which we could do. We could do like this, crop this picture like that. Now that's a little more interesting, okay? See how we just, it's not dead center? Well, and I still might want to widen the path here, bring it around like this. Bring this path around here like this. Maybe have it curve, you know, something like that. So you want it maybe just there like that, and then you'd still want the, you know, the lights and dark shadows, something like this in here. So you want this lighter path up in here like that, okay? And then if you just curve it, so just because you've got a photo doesn't mean you're married to whatever in the photo, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. So right now, while I'm doing this, I've got a couple more I want to show you. I think this is important because, for instance, as an example, you know, we talked about here was a landscape that I did for our Wave and Water Masterclass on gingercooklive.gallery, okay? And the masterclass gets a new water piece every month. And rather than just have the river, I found another photo of a young man fishing, and I added that because that made for a more interesting piece than if you had just had the river, okay? Now sometimes if you're gonna do the river, then you got to start doing falls and make all kinds of interesting things going on. But this was pretty peaceful. We had a plant, and then we had this nice, again, we've got this S pattern. Do you see that? This nice S pattern in the picture. That's a good thing to look for in a landscape, okay? So I wanted to show you that because I thought that was kind of cool. And let's see, I'm going to take a couple questions from our audience before I discuss this picture. Okay, John? Any questions right now? Well, the question is, that's a good question. In fact, that's an excellent question. Who asked that question? That's a really good question. Oh, that was John. All right, so John asked the question. It's his birthday. Hey, listen, who am I talking to here? I'm talking to John Little. He's on the other end of the phone. Let me introduce John Little. He's living in Michigan, but soon to be in Texas. And it's John Little's birthday today, so happy birthday, John. And you ask questions, and then he talks to me, and then I talk to you. This is how this works. It's about a minute delay. So John asked a really good question. He said, what determines whether or not you add a person or something in a landscape, like a landscape like this? Could this work without a person? Yeah, it might. I might be tempted to here, for instance, to have something here, maybe a little fence. Then if I didn't have a person, I might want something coming along here like this. Maybe I'd have a fence, you know, part of a fence or something like that. That wouldn't have to be much of a fence, you know, it's just something like that. Might have something like that to sort of, you know, add some interest. But again, depending on how you did the flowers and stuff, maybe you'd add some more bright flowers in here and less back there. You don't have to just plant the same yard that they've got. And so again, this is the kind of thing where it's an artistic decision. It's something that you're just going to have to decide to do. But one thing that makes it for a very good landscape is an architectural element. Do you see this? So this is still considered a landscape. So you want a good light source, which we've got, some good shadows. We've got some really pretty, beautiful hydrangeas. Boy, you know that, I mean, look at these blue ones in the front. They're not so, if we'd had big white ones down here, let me just show you what that would be. If we had a bunch of white flowers down here, see how your eye would jump right here? But these flowers are blue. This is an excellent photograph. And then you've got a very simple architectural element. I'm not sure, some sort of little gate here up on the top of these stairs. You see that? Nice flowers, some greenery going over it. That would be a very pretty landscape, okay? And again, you've got a path and so forth, and you've got a good light source. So this would be a pretty landscape. Look for something with an architectural element to it. So then we come to this, something like this. And here's a photograph, and this has got an architectural landscape. Now look, we've got this pretty river. We've got kind of this would what we would call a triangular picture pattern like this. This is a triangle, okay? And the river's kind of going around the bend here. Now way back in the back, let's zoom in. Way back in the back, we've got a boat. It's way back here. I think here, if you had a rowboat kind of docked here somewhere like this, up on the shore, might be interesting. Or maybe going in, even in this direction. So you might be wanting to look for a picture of some boats that were doing this. Maybe not even this one. Maybe we'll put it over here now. See, you can play with this. Say here's a boat that's tied up here, and maybe if there's a boat, maybe there's a little path going back up here like that. You got to get to the boat after all. Somebody has to be able to get there, okay? And then the other thing with this picture is, do you see the top of this bridge is way up here? That's kind of heavy. You know, it's just really not that good looking a bridge. So what if you did more of a Thomas Kinkade style bridge like this? Okay, you know, did more of like a stone bridge. That's sort of fun. And then let's just cut it off right about here and say there's no more bridge up here. Now let me just show you the difference. We'll just erase this bridge all up here like this. I'm not going to have any bridge up here. Now look how much better that looks. And here's the top of our bridge here like that. There's our bridge going across here like this. And this maybe is some stonework, which, you know, you can ad-lib a little, okay? And then you've got this nice shadow under here. So that would be a, you know, a prettier bridge. Maybe you could get some little block work going up here off the top like that. Just something to make it more interesting. And then this is all, and make this all sky, okay? That would be a prettier photograph. And so this is what I'm talking about. Rather than spend, you know, your 100 years looking for the exact right photograph, look for something that inspires you, that, you know, you think, man, this reminds me of the river we used to swim at when we were kids, or I really like this, or, you know, this is so pretty, and I could do something with this picture. And that's what you want to talk to yourself about. And like over here, this right here, you probably wouldn't want that. That takes your eye right off the thing, so we're going to erase that right there out of the water like that. See? You don't need that there anymore. Okay, so already we're better off without that there, okay? And I think a light boat here would be pretty. If we did a boat here, I'd want it lighter. So it sort of balance something off here like that. And just maybe this would be the boat here like that. And you can find nice pictures of boats. I mean, just go find a nice picture of a boat, okay? Something like that. And then the water's coming in here like that around the boat. Okay, whatever. All right, so that's what I would do with something like that. Now, I was looking through, and a lot of the photos that I find, you know, this was, I thought, talking about an architectural element, I thought this was really pretty. What do you guys think? Is this pretty? I thought this was really pretty. And what I loved about this was you had the reflection of the water, this nifty old castle, so it's got a nice architectural element. The sky's very plain, all right? So one of the things you'd have to watch out for is that, would you want a blue sky? That would be something you'd have to ask yourself. Just because the photograph has a blue sky, would you want it? Now, if you did a light beige sky, it wouldn't show up against this light beige building, so you probably want some sort of sky, but maybe you could change the time of day. I don't know, but I loved all these little daffodils. These are daffodils up front. It reminds me of Laura's song, right? So these daffodils, but I might be tempted to keep the daffodils going like a little path so that your eye follows the light, okay, like this. You guys see that? See, my eye is going to follow the light. I'm just going to make some pretend daffodils here, because here's the light coming up here like this, and maybe across the top of this there's a few, just to suggest some daffodils. up here to our flower. But this, I think this could be a very pretty painting. Right here, this little tree kind of bothers me. Let me just zoom in. I like to just analyze these photos for you sometime. There's a vine growing up here, okay? And then you've got this dark window. So you might want to give yourself a little more room next to the vine, so that there was a little more room between this tower and that tower. So even though this one's in shadow, I might be tempted to just maybe not have a vine in front of this window and just have it more building like that, okay? And then have something light here so that you saw this tower, okay? And the same thing here. I like the architectural element, so you might want to just add an extra line somewhere so that it shows through. So sometimes and then look, I'll look up here. This is so weird. Okay, so I'm not trying to diss the photo, but all right, so you've got your roof back here, and then you've got some other junk up here. Let's lose all that. This stuff right here. Let's just lose all that and just make this the final roof on this building, okay? And lose all that extra stuff. So again, be your own editor. This isn't such a great looking tree, but this one is. Look at here. Look at this tree right here. This is a great looking tree. So maybe you could have more of this tree and not this one behind it. See that? So when you're thinking about doing stuff, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to keep this old crookedy tree. Okay, and I love the fact this comes out here, and there's actually a person here, but I don't think I'd put them in. They're very small. Here's some sort of weeping willow tree, and again, here's this old tree, like that. I think that's pretty, and I like this funny little thing here, and this little bridge, little moat going up here. A lot about this photograph that's very pretty, that would make a very nice painting. Okay, so when you're thinking about things like that, how to design your painting. Now, got another one here I'm going to show you real quick. This one I really liked, okay, because we have the S pattern, okay. We've got some sort of pagoda house here. There's some beautiful orange, kind of leaves that the yard obviously is turning. Got some little fence posts. You've got this beautiful curved path, and you've got water. So I thought this had a lot going for it. I probably wouldn't put this in right here, whatever that is. That, the photographer's stuck with whatever's there, but you're not. That's the point. You're not. So you'd have to keep this going in here. Just ignore all that, okay? Like that. You'd have to keep this going, all right? And there's a little bush growing right here that doesn't add a thing to the picture. So make this all water in here. This should all be water, kind of pretty water. Just get rid of that bush. You don't need that bush. That's not adding anything to it. And this is a pretty wide hedge. Well, what if it wasn't that wide? What if you had less hedge like this? What if it was less of a hedge and you had more water coming this way too? Okay, I'm just saying you could follow the water around a little bit and some of the light on the water. You can use your imagination and add a little bit more light on some of the water, and then maybe just shorten out this house like this and lose this top part. Okay, that for me, this top part would just go. All right. And then it's kind of long, but that's okay. It's cute, and yeah, as long as I got rid of that part, maybe I'd put another orange tree back in here, or something like these other trees back in here to make these interesting. Maybe I'd plant flowers all along here, change the time of day. But this gives you a start. Photograph like this gives you a start. So the last one. Do I have any questions before I do the last photograph, John? Okay. Okay, he's scrolling back looking for the question. I'm going to just show you this photograph. Okay. Oh, I think, I live in Houston. John lives up in Michigan. Who doesn't like Canadian Rocky Mountains? I mean, this could be Colorado too, but who doesn't love this? The thing about a photograph like this, we can get inspired by the mountains and the lake. The thing of it is that it's not a lot of detail on the clouds, okay? And then you've got these two big trees up here, and honestly I like these little short ones, but if you didn't have these tall trees, that would be better, okay? And if you had more of a sky that wasn't it didn't have all these clouds in it, in this particular case, and did a little more with the water. I think if you painted your water blue like this, it wouldn't be believable. The camera did it, but if you painted it just like this, nobody would believe your water. We'll believe anything in a photograph, absolutely anything. If it's in a photograph, it's probably true, no matter what anybody's done to it. But in a painting, everybody just thinks you've lost your mind if you just did it this color. So what could you do? Well, I found this photograph of some mountains. Okay, now that's pretty, but you know, I like that. I like all the mountains. I like this tree. I like this tree. But what if it had some water in here? What if there was a river, something more interesting, or a little house back here? You know, a little cabin, something kind of small, but you know, something back in here, or maybe a river coming this way, and our water like that. What if there was some sort of, do I have any blue chalk? Got some sort of gray chalk I could show you. What if there was just some sort of river in here like this that came this way, some sort of little mountain stream, and then you did that? It might be interesting, okay, with a little bank and so forth, and you said here's our little mountain stream, and you know, you had a little, maybe you had a couple, you know, a couple little rocks on the bank. You've got a rock here, so maybe you've got a couple more rocks here. I mean, this takes a little work. This one takes a little work. I want to show you the painting I did today. Let me just find that for you real quick. John, what's the question while I'm looking for the painting I did today? All right, so the question, I think, if I'm understanding the question correctly, and I'm going to show you what I did today, kind of the idea behind these. The question is, what about like a deep sea? I mean, you're talking about like at the ocean. Generally, ocean paintings are rocks and waves, you know, unless you put a boat. Boats, rocks, and waves are probably what you put in an ocean picture. Very rare. If you have a dock, maybe you could have some people fishing off a dock, something like that. But again, you're looking for what I'm trying to show you here already. Doesn't this look better? This little sort of swamp creek here. Maybe on the side of it you could have a little path too. That might be fun too. What if you had, oh, I'm getting all excited about this now. What if next to the creek here you had a little path for people to walk like that, like that. There's your creek. It's following the creek, right? You know, that might be pretty. Again, that would be kind of neat, okay? And then you'd have you've had your sky, you could have some of your sky, some of this mountain reflecting back down here in the water like this, from this mountain here like this. That might be interesting. Just kind of like that, something like that with the blue over it, okay? So here's the thing. I found this other photograph too. Here was one with a path. See, I like the path, right? And I like the fact that there's trees that are shading the path, okay? And then we had a little bit of a lake and some mountains. So let me show you the painting I did today. Let me just put this over here. Here's the painting I did today. And I want to show, so we've got the mountains, we've toned down the sky, we've got the glacier. This is up in the Canadian Rockies. We've got some trees here to act as a stop, and we've got some water reflections in the water, okay? So this will be a lesson that's coming up soon at gingercooklive.gallery. You guys, that's our home website if you want to know where we have over, I don't know, did you guys know our toll count is up to 180 lessons. Can you believe that? And I'm not talking about videos, I'm talking about lessons. Anything from the most beginning, how to make your acrylics work, to advanced lessons. And we add 3 a week, which is pretty exciting. And I'm constantly making new lessons. And for those of you who are having trouble you know, with your internet connection, we also have videos that you can purchase one at a time and download. So anyway, this is like a new one that's coming up. This is a new one that's coming up with the Canadian, called the Canadian Rockies. So yeah, John, so talk to me about the next question somebody's asking. Okay, well this is a good point. The question they're asking is, how can I scale an animal in a landscape? So I'm going to answer that in just a second. Let me just talk about that, because I added, just funny you should ask that, because I'm going to move this for a minute. We're going to discuss this picture in a minute. you know, if you guys haven't seen our village series, this is my village series. This original one is on this is on YouTube right now. You can watch this. This is a free video on YouTube. The idea is you get a 6x8 canvas and you gallery wrap, and you can use these like little sculptures, and you paint all over the sides, and you collect these and you hang them in the kitchen or somewhere cute in your house, or you can stand them up. They don't tip over, like little sculptures. And so the newest one, nobody's seen this yet, just you guys. The newest one is this bookshop. Here's the bookshop, and I added a little cat. Okay, I added a little cat to the cat. Now he's slightly bigger. I made him slightly bigger than he might be. I put a little book, put a little bench, and a little book on the bench. But you want things that are kind of to scale. In other words, you need something in relationship. Now, this is kind of a, you know, a chair. So this cat possibly, he's slightly bigger, but I did it anyway because I wanted him to show up. Sometimes you can exaggerate something in a painting. And we've got, you see, we've got some books and so forth. And just to give you an idea, these all go together. If you haven't seen this, this is the other new one I just finished, which was the tea shop. See the little teacups and stuff? Here's our tea shop. So when you collect all these, you know, you've got the ballet. Let me zoom back out so you can see this collection. So when you get them as a group, that all kind of works, right? You could put this cat over here too. You can move that cat somewhere. And I'm also going to answer in the landscape how you do that. But I want to show everybody. Here's the music shop. We're selling these in groups of 2 on our website, gingercooklive.gallery. You buy 2 at a time. Our members get a 40% discount. Our subscribing members, and membership starts at $9.95 for just a few days, but it's, you know, it still gives you the discount on the others. So that might be something to consider, you guys that are doing the $9.95. Is the time to take advantage of the discounts, because you get 20% off all the downloadable videos, and it's almost 40% off of these. But you can see how fun it is with the cat. So to answer this question, come on, this is too cool. No one's seen this whole collection yet. Isn't that fun? And we're going to have a bunch more than that. But those are coming up. The cat and the tea shop are coming up. The tea room are coming up in about a week or 2. We'll have those available. We have 4 out there now available. So the question is, let's take one of these pictures. I want to answer that question about how to put something like this in. Okay, so let's see if I can find something. Now take a painting like this, take a picture like this. Well, you know how big these flowers are. I mean, so everybody else does here. So if you put a giant cat in here like this size, right, like that would be sort of odd, right? But you could put something small in here. You could put a cat in here, but you know, what would that do? What would that do for your picture? I mean, if you had a cat here, okay, you could have a cat right here. Like that. So we just added, can I zoom in? We just added a cat. You could have a cat here kind of looking up the stairs, and he's got a little tail going like that. You could have a little cat there, and maybe there's a little shadow behind him or something. You could put a cat, but I wouldn't make it very big. But mostly what you'd have to figure on, and I can show you on the back of this, is that you have a vanishing point in your landscape. You have a vanishing point. It's where the sky meets the horizon line, okay? All right? So if this is a road like this, okay, got it, there's my road. The road's going to be narrower here, okay? So if this is a path, it's still going to get very narrow here. See this? You know, so here's your path. Here's your path. It's going to come out like this, but it's still going to get very small back here. Now let's talk about a fence. So here's my first fence post. My smallest fence post. You got to imagine an imaginary line coming down here like that. So here's the next fence post. Here's the next fence post, and here's the next fence post. So then you'd have to decide what size is a cat in relationship to a fence post, okay? Okay, so here's a cat like that in relationship to this fence post. That's probably how big he'd be. But now back here, if he's back here, he's only this tall. And if he's back here, he's only this big. And if he's back here, I don't think you'd see him at all. Okay, so he's getting smaller as you go back to your vanishing point, okay? And he's bigger up in the front like that, okay? Does that make sense on how you decide how big something is? The same thing with a person. If you said that's a fence post, then a person in relationship to a fence post is about, is this tall, okay? There's your guy. He's about this tall in relationship to a fence post, okay? But now, again, draw the line from him back down to here. The next guy's only this big. Okay, that's as big as he can be. This guy's smaller, and so forth. Okay, so when you're thinking about how big to put stuff in, you've got to consider where your vanishing point is. That's very important. And your vanishing point is somewhere on the horizon line. I just happen to put mine here, but your vanishing point could be down here, it could be way up here. So that would depend on the photograph where the vanishing point is. So I hope that that's a pretty good explanation of how you do that. And I think we did pretty well on that. So we have, that was a good question. Who asked that question, John? All right, if you ask that question, talk to us, because I think that is the question of the night. Woo! And the question of the night, what do you get if you ask the question of the night? Well, what you win for asking a really intelligent question that everybody wants to know and none of us thought to tell you is you get either 9 days of complimentary membership at gingercooklive.gallery. Just go here and to our website, use the Contact Us form. Tell us that you won the question about the cat and the perspective and the landscape, and then you can either do that or you can pick any one of our 20 downloadable videos. You have a choice. If you're already a member, grab a video, and that includes the new videos coming up with the sets too. Even though they're more pricey, that includes these sets of 2 of our village things. So whatever. So if you ask that question, just let us know. And I'm going to give you the last one of our landscape deals. Let me just show you to move our little village piece. I'm so excited to get those finished. Okay, so this was, I wanted to show you this. This I thought was an absolute perfect photograph. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. This was, to me, was a perfect photograph. Every once in a while, you don't have to think about a thing. You've got this beautiful triangular picture pattern. You've got this nifty tree off to the left. You've got, everything's kind of calm back out here. And then, I mean, there was just something here, but I think that's my printer. It didn't used to have this. I think something got laid on top of that. Ignore all that. Basically, for me, it was a perfect photograph. And then you have your wave and water. And so this is what I did with that photograph, is I went ahead and created this painting here. And just, you can kind of see it now. I exaggerated some of the red, added more of a sunset in the sky, added the sunset in the water, put a couple boats back here. Remember, we asked about what you could put in a seascape. And then we have our waves here. And this is on one of these nifty oval canvases by Fredericks. We have a direct link in our store to those, to Amazon. I only did it so you guys could find them. Some people have trouble finding stuff. And so Amazon sells these little round canvases. The caveat being on these round canvases, my problem with them is that sometimes they come unglued, and I would staple all the way around the edge of these right here. I would just take a staple gun to make sure I stapled this, and then, just paint it over it or something. And I thought you could even just take some braid or rope or something and then just glue around the outside edge. But there are companies that sell frames for these too. So anyway, that was my favorite photograph of the year. Was this one. And I think it took so little to turn it into a nifty painting. And our wave and water class is separate from our regular gallery. We do a wave and water master class every month. We add one, and then plus they get the Ginger Cook Live videos that we do every Tuesday if you're a wave and water member, or you can combine it. So that's I think pretty good, John. I'd say we were great for our ginger cookie crumbs today. Kind of keep this short, but look at that. I did it I know, we were talking 20 minutes, but then there was a lot of stuff to talk about, and I could have gone on about photos and what you could use in a photo and didn't make so. So we want to thank you guys for watching. We want to give John a big happy birthday. If you have any questions you would like answered on Monday nights, and if we answer your question, you will win either a 9-day membership or one of our downloadable videos. So it doesn't hurt to use the Contact Us form and write us a question. We'd love to hear from you. And just check out our website and see what we're doing. And I'm going to say good night. Listen, you guys, this stays up. You don't have to rewind or panic. This stays up. This will be up. This is on. this is up on, will be up on YouTube as one of our permanent videos. Monday night stay up. So just if you want to go back and rewind and look at some of these things that I've said and just kind of think about those examples and what makes a good picture, that's not a bad plan either. All right, tomorrow night we will be painting something live, and Wednesday we will actually be getting out the paints and painting something live tomorrow night at 7:30, and I'm happy and excited to do that. And we've got, I know everybody's enthralled with the Olympics. If we can tear you away from that to come paint with us, I hope we can. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but tomorrow night we'll be painting something fun. You can paint along or just watch. And Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock we'll be painting too. So that's our schedule for the week. And I hope you guys had fun watching.